Hi, I'm Chris Hart, and welcome to this figure drawing workshop. I'm an author of books on drawing the body. I have a book called Figure It Out on drawing the human form, and a book on anatomy called Human Anatomy Made Amazingly Easy. And I have fortunate enough to have over 3 million books sold in 20 languages, and I'm delighted to have you here with me today so that we could talk about some secrets in drawing the figure. Now, I mean, when I say secrets, what I mean is that there are 3 areas that are not always thought about that seem, to me at least, to be some of the most important to be able to draw the figure accurately. You could use the acronym for this workshop as CAD. Not that I'm a CAD, but CAD is a good thing to remember because the C would mean components. The human figure has different components, different muscular groups, as well as different muscles. And if you're familiar with them and how they kind of join together, it makes it much easier to draw. The second is angles. When you draw the face, when you draw the body, it's always at some kind of angle. Right now, it's a front angle, and it kind of flattens things out. So we have to know how to adjust for it. If it's a profile, it's a different type of angle. 3/4 view, another, and the perspective kind of dictates the way we adjust things slightly. The last is depth. No matter how well we draw, unless we know how to use some overlapping forms, some shadow, it's going to look flat. We don't want that. It's pretty easy to make it look like it has depth, but unless you think about it, you may leave it out. Anyway, so that's our agenda. I'm going to make it simple because it doesn't need to be complicated, and I hope you'll have some fun also. Let's start defining some of the torso, because that's the center, that's the big cylinder. Everything else is attached to it. It's not attached to other stuff. So we'll take a center line first so we know where we're going. Straight down the body, just as it is down the head. And for the chest, the pectoralis major muscles, we're going to add a nice curved line just above the sternum. Here's the sternum, that sort of tab right here. And it's curved downward on both ends. It comes up a little bit, out a little bit, and it has thickness. And this line right here shows the thickness. See, watch this. This line here shows thickness. See, if it didn't have that little line, it would look like this, like a right angle, and it looks flat. So we add that little touch, okay? Now, they're not one muscle with a line between them. They're actually 2 muscles here. So they separate just a little bit and they're curved. And as any kind of curve with thickness will have, it protrudes, light comes down, and casts a little bit of a shadow. Okay, so it casts a shadow like that. This is our shape that we're using for the hips. It's hollow inside, just like the pelvis, so it can carry organs. And here we have the indentation or the opening for the hips, for the upper thighs. And we'll make that even bigger, so it really wedges deep into there. Now, this front of the leg curves way out. I mean, it's really significant. Straight would be this. So you can see the difference between the two. So it curves way out. The knee is also at the same angle. Some people draw it straight here, but it's actually also going back this way. And then a little bit of muscle on the top, and then the shin bone takes over and curves out toward the foot. Now, back here, we don't want to make it a hard bump, so we'll kind of blend this down to the leg, and it's pretty flat, but it does have a little thigh muscle here. Some people call it thigh bicep, so it's a little bit of modeling, but it's pretty flat until it gets to here. Now, it bumps out a little bit, that little pocket we have behind our legs where the knee is, which is usually indented, but it pops out a little bit when the knee is locked. See right here. Kind of adds it's almost like a spacer between the calf muscle, the gastrocnemius here, and the upper thigh. And then we go back straight again, down straight to finish tapering. It doesn't continue gradually. It's pretty abrupt, okay? The heel goes behind the ankle. It's never straight. It's almost in line with the calf muscle. And we're going to bring the foot down here. bump it in, it's going to have an indentation. People sometimes think you only have an arch on the inside, but the outside also has an indentation, not an arch, but an indentation. Okay, now we're going to learn something interesting, I hope. I think it is for me, is drawing the figure with a little bit of perspective. And we're not doing this as an exercise just to learn perspective. We're doing it because it's like adding salt to food. It adds a little accent, it adds a little spice, and it really adds impact. So let's take a look at how we do this. First, we're going to look at some very simple perspective. Here is perspective on this like box-like thing. And as we can see, it's going in this direction. The primary lines, dominant lines are going here. So it's better than something that's just flat looking at us like this, because it's moving, so it has some dynamism to it. But to give it more, we'll have, instead of these going parallel to each other, the dominant lines will converge toward a distant vanishing point right here. So you see, by converging, it makes it look wider here and even bigger than this when they're really the same shape. And these will also converge this way. But we're more concerned about the front, which will be the torso right here. This is what's going to be the torso. And we're going to put the figure here, the head here, and the legs here, and we're going to show how to draw that in perspective. Looking at a head, if you look at it almost like it's a box, you can see the same thing going on here. It diminishes here and diminishes here. So it has a little more of a dynamic look. All right, let's turn to our guy here. He's actually drawn in perspective. He's not facing us directly. He's at a 3/4 view, and as you can see, this leg is lower than this, and his chest is on an angle, this is on an angle, this is on an angle. So it all converges, all the different angles, the different levels are converging to the right. So we will attempt to do that and see how we can keep that in proportion. So you see, these lines are going down, and these lines are sweeping upward. It's very important to figure out where the middle is. And the reason is, sometimes as you're doing this, you could be going like this: down angle, down angle, down angle, down angle. Oops, I forgot, I have to go up. Boom. The only thing that's going up are the ankles. So you have to leave enough room for both downward angles and upward angles. So to do that, I've left the middle as straight. Right across the waistline is straight. So above this, the lines curve down. Below this, they curve up.